Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. The already tumultuous world of The Young and the Restless is rocked by Victor Newman's shocking revelation that Audra Charles and Kane Ashby have a child together. This plot surprise is a narrative bombshell that reinterprets relationships, reveals secret histories, and prepares the audience for explosive confrontations. It is not just another dramatic beat in the soap opera's lengthy run. This secret has wide-ranging effects that extend beyond the main characters Victor, Audra, and Kane to the larger Newman family relationships, business power rivalries, and personal grudges that characterize Genoa City. The patriarch of the Newman dynasty, Victor Newman, is used to having complete control over his surroundings. His reputation as a cunning tactician and ruthless businessman follows him, and he responds quickly and forcefully to any challenge to his power. His feeling of control is severely shaken when he learns the truth about Audra and Kane's shared past, especially the existence of a kid. As a cunning and aspirational businesswoman, Audra has established herself in Victor's sphere of influence and used her charm and ability to successfully negotiate the competitive world of Newman Enterprises. Victor would surely take advantage of the vulnerability created by her relationship with Kane, a guy with a complex past in Genoa City. Women like Audra Charles don't let their guard down easy. She appears to have put a lot of effort into keeping this secret hidden based on her strategic moves in both professional and personal relationships. Her carefully constructed image as an independent, self-assured CEO is contradicted by the discovery that she and Kane have a kid together. How this disclosure plays out will depend on the circumstances surrounding the child's existence, including whether it was a brief affair, a covert romance, or a moment of weakness. Audra might have thought that the past was securely sealed away if both parties agreed to keep the kid a secret. However, secrets in Genoa City tend to come to light at the worst possible times. Meanwhile, controversy and covert paternity are nothing new to Kane Ashby. From the fake name he once lived under to the complex web of relationships he has negotiated over the years, his own life has been characterized by deceit. The fact that he has another child further complicates his already complex legacy. His response might be anything from shock to rage to a last-ditch effort to make amends, depending on his awareness level, whether he was informed about the child or not. If he didn't know, the information might make him face another aspect of his history. If he was aware, the next question is why he permitted the information to be kept a secret and what he plans to do now that the truth is known. It is doubtful that Victor will find the secret passively. He uses information as a weapon rather than keeping it to himself. He may have had several reasons for disclosing Audra and Kane's child. On one level, he might interpret this as leverage, a means of exerting control over Audra, guaranteeing her allegiance, or influencing her behavior at Newman Enterprises. Victor might use this knowledge to coerce Audra into giving up her hand if she has been playing both sides of a corporate power war. Alternatively, Victor might reveal the facts to destabilize Kane if he feels threatened either personally or professionally, especially if Kane has any connections to the competitors of the Newman family. The immediate trio won't be the only ones affected by this news. The Newman family, who are constantly at the heart of Genoa City's drama, will unavoidably become entangled in the mayhem. Victoria Newman might be caught in the crossfire because of her own turbulent past with Kane. Victoria's standing inside the organization may suffer if Victor uses this information to discredit Audra, particularly if Audra has been a significant ally or foe. Victor's wife, Nikki Newman, who has been a pillar of support in his life, might have to mediate or step in if Victor's behavior starts to get out of hand. There is also the issue of the child. The child's age, living circumstances, and understanding of their parentage will all influence how this plotline unfolds. Their unexpected arrival could completely change lives if the child is older and has grown up outside of Genoa City. The emotional stakes are significantly greater if the child is younger and does not know who their real parents are. Long-lost offspring and secret heirs are the lifeblood of soap operas, and this twist fits right in with that history. The infant can end up serving as a pawn in Victor's schemes, a source of surprising power for Audra, or a sign of repentance for Cain. It will be crucial to see how Audra responds to Victor's finding. Will she retaliate against Victor's threats by utilizing her own resources? Or will she give up when she sees that the Newman patriarch is stronger than her? It will also put her relationship with Cain to the test. This discovery might revive old feelings, or bring up unresolved bitterness, if they were once in love. The revelation of their secret might compel them to form an uncomfortable alliance against Victor if their relationship was only transactional. For his part, Cain might be at a turning point. From villain to hero and everything in between, his role has been reinvented several times. He may be compelled to face his previous transgressions and accept responsibility in ways he has never done before as a result of this realization, which might mark the beginning of a new chapter in his life. On the other hand, if he feels cornered by Victor, he can take drastic steps, joining Victor's adversaries or even retaliating in ways that intensify the battle. It is impossible to overlook the wider ramifications for Genoa City's power system. Victor's manipulation of this secret may cause alliances inside Newman Enterprises to change, which could have an impact on corporate takeovers, mergers, and business transactions. The volatility could be exploited by other families, such as the Abbotts or the Winters, to further their own goals. The media, which is constantly looking for controversy, has the potential to make this private issue a public spectacle, which would make things even more difficult for all parties. This plot is fundamentally about power, who has it, who loses it, and who will stop at nothing to maintain it. In addition to being a personal betrayal, Victor uses the knowledge of Audra and Cain's kid as a tactical edge in his never-ending chess game. It is a test of Audra and Cain's fortitude, loyalty, and capacity to endure in a society where secrets are valuable. He had repeatedly pushed the boundaries of commitment, ruined his own happiness, shattered hearts, and gambled with his future. However, he had not anticipated this conclusion. He spent the morning strolling about Old Town, dodging market booths and grinning at random people as if he had just regained his breath. He even gave Johnny and Katie a call and left them meaningful, lengthy messages, the kind a father might send when he suddenly realizes how fleeting life is. However, nobody could have guessed that Billy was plummeting behind those serene words and gentle smiles. Nothing had ever shaken him as much as what he had discovered the previous evening. Someone from his past had discovered him in a secluded corner of a dark and nice bar. This was not an accident, rather, it was deliberate. Someone who wanted Billy to keep quiet for all the right reasons. Forever. The man's name was Julian Barron, which Billy found unsettling but which would not have registered in Genoa City. Billy had once met Julian, a strong, well-connected figure in the European underground scene, during one of his rash business trips overseas. Julian had made Billy an offer that seemed like it would lead to immediate financial catastrophe. Billy had abruptly backed out of the agreement out of desperation and conceit, but not before exposing Julian and left him short by millions of dollars. Billy believed he had gotten away with it at the time. He was mistaken. Julian was patient. And now his moment had arrived in the streets of Nice. It had been a short but terrifying encounter. Julian didn't have to yell or make a direct threat. "Everything has a price, Abbott," he said, taking a sip of his drink across from Billy. "Additionally, you have been living on borrowed time." Billy had dismissed it with trepidation, as though comedy might cover up the shiver of terror that was running up his back. But he knew on the inside. Julian's threats weren't baseless. And despite his charisma and confidence, Billy wasn't sure he had what it took to run again. Billy went back to the hotel that afternoon and paced the suite like a man torn between two options. He put down his phone after picking it up to call Lily. Picked it up once more to give Jack a call. Nothing again. How would he respond? That a specter from the past had arrived to gather? That he was afraid to die? It wasn't as if he hadn't been warned before. However, Billy took an odd action as the sun began to set. After changing into a clean, crisp shirt, the navy blue one Victoria had mentioned once drew his attention, he took a stroll down the Promenade d'Anglais. He saw joggers moving by with music playing, visitors snapping pictures, and lovers holding hands. He appeared to be merely another man enjoying the sunset. He had written, sealed, and sent the note to Jack that morning, but no one saw him clutching the folded paper in his jacket pocket. "I didn't intend for this to end the way it did," it said simply. "I hope you'll tell the kids I was trying to make things right." The local police received the call at approximately 8:37 p.m. Only a few kilometers outside of the city, an American guy was discovered unconscious close to the edge of a cliffside road. Not a witness. No identification on him but a Genoa City Athletic Club card stashed in his wallet. What the paramedics could do. He had defensive cuts on his hands, evidence of a struggle, and severe head trauma. Most of his ribs were shattered by the fall. He breathed shallowly. However, Billy Abbott had left by the time they arrived at the hospital. Genoa City didn't learn until the next morning. The first person to receive the call was Jack. The suddenness of it all left him bewildered and immobilized. Only a lifeless confirmation from a hospital halfway around the world had been given, no warning, no farewell. When Lily heard, she started crying. She had never stopped loving Billy in spite of everything, including the heartache and the distance. Not at all. The worst part was not knowing if he was aware of that in his last moments. Ironically, it was Victor Newman who initially hinted that anything was wrong. He had paced the Newman ranch like a lion in a cage, saying, "Billy doesn't just fall off a cliff. He is shoved." Nick, Abby, and even Phyllis concurred. Too many questions remained unanswered. Chance Chancellor quickly became involved and used his old Interpol contacts to start surreptitiously investigating the situation. The night before his death, Billy was captured on camera talking to a man wearing a gray suit. There was enough film to imply that this wasn't a terrible mishap or a robbery gone bad, but it ended just before Julian's face was fully seen. It was intentional. Chilly. Additionally, someone had ensured that no witnesses would be there. However, the footage that showed up at the Abbott residence a week later was unexpected. No return address, unmarked. A flash drive enclosed in an envelope. Jack's hands trembled as he opened it. Billy was shown on the television, sitting on the edge of his hotel bed and staring straight into the camera. He declared, "If you're watching this, then something has happened. I apologize as well. I didn't want to involve you in this issue, so I didn't inform you sooner. However, I made an improper agreement years ago. I was foolish and conceited, and I was fortunate to walk away once. However, good fortune is fleeting. Julian Barron arrived to pick me up. At least you'll know it wasn't an accident if I'm gone, even though I didn't think he would actually do it." Jack sat silently, dropping the flash disc. As it weighed heavily on his chest, tears filled his eyes. Billy was aware. Instead of running again, he had decided to face his fate in the last hours. Genoa City hosted the funeral. It was private, quiet, and full of faces that at one time or another had either loathed him or loved him. Beside his coffin, Delia's photo served as a sobering reminder of how fleeting and unpredictable life can be. Speaking through tears, Lily recalled a complex, irate, yet unforgettable man. She remarked, "He never stopped believing he could be better, loved hard, and fought harder. Even when he was unsure of how." With a silent prayer in her eyes and a hand on her heart, Victoria stood at the rear. Unexpectedly, Kane also traveled in from abroad to give his sympathies to everyone who had been impacted by Billy's turbulent, passionate life journey, not just the Abbotts. Although the probe was discreet, it didn't make much headway. Julian Barron was gone, gone, gone. No associates willing to speak, no digital trail. He seemed to have vanished from the world. But for those who knew Billy, his death left an imprint that would never disappear. He was not flawless. However, Billy Abbott had discovered something akin to bravery on his last day of life, in the streets of Nice, confronting the specter of a history he was unable to escape. Those who knew him well would remember the man who ultimately attempted to put things right and paid the ultimate price, despite the fact that the world would remember him for his turmoil, charm, and blunders. Victor told Michael to look further, to find out who was taking care of the youngster, where they were currently, and if anyone else knew the truth. After Michael departed, Victor walked his office, his thoughts becoming more focused. Recently, Audra had been circling Kyle Abbott once more, attempting to maintain her position at Newman Media while simultaneously teasing love relationships and business partnerships. She was in for a harsh shock if she believed she could manage that while concealing such a significant secret from him. And Kane, well, Kane showed up only when he had something to gain, and he had a way of vanishing into Genoa City drama like a ghost. If Victor had to speculate, Kane's abrupt reappearances during the previous year had been planned rather than coincidental. It's possible that he and Audra had been discussing privately what to do with their shared history and this child, which neither of them had officially acknowledged. But why keep it a secret? Victor couldn't get that question out of his head. Was the child being shielded from a perilous foe? To stay out of trouble? Or were two people who thrived on secrecy engaging in yet another game of manipulation? Victor knew he would have to face one of them next, and he chose to start with Audra. Victor always had a way of piercing her carefully crafted facade, and she was easy to corner. Under the guise of talking about Newman Media's quarterly plan, he invited her to his office. As usual, she came looking confident and well-dressed, but her grin wavered slightly when Victor gave her his icy, piercing gaze. "There's something I'd like to discuss that's not in the quarterly report," Victor said slowly, folding his hands on the desk in front of him. Audra angled her head, pretending to be interested, but he could see the calculating in her eyes already working overtime. In a direct and unambiguous tone, he declared, "I am aware of the child." Her cheeks lost color for a split second, but she swiftly recovered and leaned back in her chair. She answered with ease, "I don't know what you're talking about," but her voice was betrayed by a little trembling. As the tension increased, Victor allowed the stillness to linger, making her feel as though the walls of his office were closing in on her. "Don't make fun of me, Audra. I am aware that you and Kane are parents to a child. I am aware that you have concealed it. And I am aware that you have taken considerable care to ensure that nobody in this town finds out." Under the pressure of Victor's gaze, Audra's go-to-charm and deflective techniques were failing her. She crossed her legs and inhaled deeply, as though preparing for a fight she hadn't planned on. She responded softly, "You don't understand the situation." Victor squinted his eyes. She hesitantly told that the child, named Ava, had been born during a time when Kane was embroiled in a complex legal situation abroad. "Then make me understand." Together, they had determined that concealing Ava's identity, even from those they trusted, was the best way to keep her safe. Victor became increasingly aware that there were more facets to this tale that had not yet been revealed as he listened. Victor was aware of Audra's denials that she was using the child as leverage or that she intended to involve Ava in the instability in Genoa City. Such secrets were not kept hidden indefinitely. If he did, it was only a question of time until someone else, someone much less guarded, would discover it and take advantage of it. Victor set up a meeting with Kane later that day. When Victor brought it up, Kane, in contrast to Audra, didn't put on a front. His jaw tensed, and he gave a single, nearly resigned nod. Kane's Australian accent was sharper than usual when he said, "So, you know." Victor answered, "I know enough." Kane clarified that although he had desired to have a child, he was unable to bring Ava into his chaotic life due to a number of issues. He expressed a sincere desire for Ava to grow up free from the controversies and personal grudges that seemed to afflict everyone in Genoa City, something Victor hadn't always seen in him. Victor, however, could sense that Cain was withholding something from Victor even as he spoke, some piece of the puzzle that could help them understand why they had been so desperate to hide Ava. Finally, Victor stated, "You should know that I have resources that could make that happen if you're worried about protecting her." Cain looked him in the eye without flinching, but there was a glimmer of something, perhaps dread or guilt, that informed Victor that this narrative was far from over. "But if you're lying to me, if this is part of some game, I'll find out, and you won't enjoy what comes next." Victor closely monitored them both in the days that followed. Cain avoided Newman territory, while Audra, shaken by his revelation, was more circumspect in her interactions. Michael was instructed by Victor to keep searching, and the results were both alarming and enlightening. Ava was being cared after by a reliable guardian in a different city, away from the attention of Genoa City. However, there were persistent, although unsubstantiated, rumors that someone else had lately developed feelings for her. This person had a long-standing animosity toward Cain and, hence, anyone associated with Newman power. Victor became even more defensive as a result of that possibility. He had no intention of allowing a child to become a casualty of another conflict, particularly one that was bound to two individuals who had several adversaries. Victor was now involved, whether Cain and Audra liked it or not. He would choose the outcome of the secret, and if it required controlling them with the truth, so be it. After all, knowledge was essential to survive in Victor Newman's society, not simply for power. Audra and Cain would be forced to follow his rules now that he had the key to their most carefully kept secret.